doing this. It simply would, Mr. Chairman.
Tim McIndoe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm happy to follow Mr. Chevelle in this bill, and in this debate in the committee stages, and I've listened carefully to his view on the matters that Labor has consistently argued are, in their view, the most objectionable. I just want to make the point that, in fact, although that is the Labor Party position, it's very much out of touch both with the judiciary, the legal profession, and I would suggest the public at large. It's worth remembering that Labor abolished New Zealanders' right of appeal to the Privy Council. They abolished the awarding of traditional royal honours, such as knighthoods, and they abolished the practice of appointing a small number of barristers each year to the rank of Queen's Counsel. And in doing so, they describe such initiatives and practices as anachronistic, and Mr. Chevelle has just used the word archaic again, and reading from their minority report, representing the bland comforts of the past. And as I say, we've heard more on that theme in the last few moments from Mr. Chevelle. But Mr. Chair, it's worth noting that they made each of those changes without a mandate from New Zealanders. One has to wonder why, if the previous government was so convinced that these institutions had lost their relevance and appeal in contemporary New Zealand society, they weren't prepared to test that view by consulting the people. The restoration of knighthoods and the rank of dames by the current government has certainly been well received, and there's pretty clear evidence from the legal profession that the restoration of the title Queen's Counsel is desirable, given that Labor's creation of the title Senior Counsel in 2008 has devalued the role, found little public support or even understanding, and fails to reflect the nature and status of a role that is hugely important within the legal profession. But this change in this part of the bill, Mr. Chair, is about much more than the restoration of a title and status. Important as those outcomes are to those who value our inherited traditions from Westminster as much as those other aspects of our blended culture that make New Zealand special and unique. For the changes outlined in Part 1 of this bill are designed to protect the essential independence of the inner bar. And I think that was a matter that Mr. Chevelle wasn't really dealing with. As has been noted by the Minister, Mr. Chevelle, and other government speakers earlier in this debate, at earlier stages of the debate, the looser rules for eligibility as senior counsel, which were introduced by that previous government, threaten to dilute the independence of our most senior advocates. Queen's Counsel should be able to advise and represent both law firms and clients who engage them fearlessly and independently, without the potential conflicts and pressures of working in a partnership or an incorporated firm. That is why Part 1 of the bill provides that eligibility to be appointed as Queen's Counsel will be restricted in most cases to barristers sole rather than lawyers in partnerships or firms, but the bill does preserve the royal prerogative, and Mr. Chevelle was quite disparaging about this, but the royal prerogative to appoint lawyers other than barristers sole as Queen's Counsel where that recognises exceptional legal practice. And that, of course, is consistent with a very long established practice, highly recognised and respected within the profession and within the public as a whole. And I would suggest to Mr. Chevelle something that many, many decades of tradition and practice bears out as being of value. The opposition may think otherwise, but this would be the case as is reflected widely within the profession. So we are restoring something that is about much more than just titles, about much more than just history. It is about gravitas and the ability within the profession to strike a correct balance. And so, Mr. Chair, with those comments, I'm very happy to support Part 1, and I look forward to seeing this come to pass.
Mr. Chairman.
Honourable Leanne Dalziel.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I presume the emphasis on the word honourable